And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. TikTok isn't just for dancing and fun. A woman named Anna Albaran used the app to tell her story of abuse.
Tell me you grew up in a toxic Latina household without telling me that you grew up in a toxic Latina household. I'll start.
I grew up with that one uncle, unfortunately. And the family denies that anything happened. If you know, you know.
That uncle is my dad, and I decided that he is no longer allowed to be that uncle. So I called him out, and now he's Osceola's most wanted for his crimes against kids.
When I posted it, so many people gave me messages saying, you know what, your dad did that to me too.
That's real life. People telling their stories. Her father, Davy Albaran, is currently wanted in Florida for multiple warrants after she compared stories with other family members, including the sexual battery and molestation of 2 young girls. In Anna's TikTok, she also talked about how painful it can be when Latino families ignore cries for help and protect sexual abusers. Let's talk about it. Matilda Zaragoza and Dr. Jasmine Boone both are here on The Factor Uncensored to talk about this. Matilda, I've known you for years. I reached out to you and I said, is this something legitimate? Is this something that goes on in Hispanic families around the country? And your response was?
I agree. It's been going on for generations and generations. I think that in the Hispanic culture, at an early age, you're conditioned to say that, or to know that what goes on in the house stays in the house, right? So you don't want to share this type of information, or you're frowned upon. You go through life just trying to understand what is it that I'm supposed to do. You have to remain compliant. It's a tough situation to endure. And I've heard many stories, and it's happened quite some time.
And you said there are many mitigating factors that would cause something like this, from being from another country, the language barrier, alcohol abuse, drug abuse. Tell us about that.
I feel like, for the most part, from my experience growing up in a Hispanic home, I mean, we're told from the onset that the man that you marry is the man you're supposed to stay with. It doesn't matter what you have to endure or what you have to go through. That is who you chose, and that's who you're going to be with.
So who's telling you this?
This is how
generational.
Just generation from generation. It just stays ongoing. I mean, I've seen people stay in relationships just for the simple fact that they are so dependent on the male figure. You know, he's the dominant figure. He's the breadwinner. They don't know how to speak the language. They're just making babies, staying at home, being the housewives. He's the breadwinner. So they're afraid to take that step and leap of faith, or even move forward, or even share things that happen in the house, due to the fact that then they'll become single mothers. They don't know how to speak the language. They don't have any independence. They don't have any education sometimes, or they're in fear that they'll be sent back to Mexico or to a different country.
As we progress in time, do you see a change where more women are actively involved in the workforce, getting educated? Do you see things changing at all, or does it still remain the same?
I've seen a lot of changes now. I think that a lot of people that are coming out are being educated within the schools. I think other Hispanics are now speaking to Hispanics, just like this young lady said that she stepped up and she was able to share her story. It encourages others to say that, hey, I can say the same and not be afraid, right? So we really encourage those that are suffering, and I talk to them all the time. And I mean, if you don't have that one person in the home, find somebody at a school, somebody that you can reach out and tell them what is going on, what is happening, what does it look like, because this has to stop. For the most part, I mean, if this continues, we just risk people doing this. It's going to happen to their kids, to the next generation, and on to the next generation. So again, I feel like they are really becoming very educated when it comes to sharing the story and not being afraid to tell what is going on.
As we progress in society, are we also seeing people progress by holding these individuals accountable in the family, or does that remain the same? Obviously, now you're saying we know better, women know better, but are they holding the men accountable, or whomever may be responsible for the abuse?
And I think that's by a case-by-case basis. I believe that there's so much that's not being addressed. I mean, there's a lot of times in Hispanic cultures, they don't even want to address mental health, right? They don't want to address those type of situations, substance abuse, it's okay for them to do these things. So I can still see this still happening in the home. I'm hoping that that soon will change, and I hope that people like me and Doctor right here can educate and teach them that it's nothing to be afraid of, just to tell your story. What we're more concerned about is when you do hold somebody accountable, what happens? Do they flee the country? Do they leave? And then you know, just like this gentleman here, he's still on the run.
Right.
So what happens at that point in time? Again, we're right back to the square one where she's a single mom. You know, now we have all these other integral moving parts that are interfering with the family. So I think that's something that
and Dr.
concerning.
Boone, let's make it clear, this is not exclusive to the Hispanic family. What we have seen here on TikTok is Hispanic individuals saying, let's make light of it in our community. But this happens in every community.
Unfortunately, yes. This is in every single community, every single culture, every ethnicity, and we see this problem where it's easier just to brush it under the rug. We're not, you know, causing any static, we're not getting anyone in trouble. These are sometimes, most of the times, acquaintances or family members, and so we don't want to get them in trouble, and where does that leave mom? So a lot of times we will go without...
Because mom could be seen as an accomplice.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. To think about it, to do what this brave young lady did and said, this is my dad and this is what he's doing, it inconveniences and completely throws off the entire household, right? So my dad is going to prison, where does that leave my mom? It takes a lot of guts to do what she does. And a lot of times parents will say, well, just hush, hush, we'll fix it here.
Right.
And if that's the case, I urge people to say, go outside of the home, because this deserves a voice and you don't deserve what happens to you.
And really quick, how do you get the courage to do that? Because you're standing against your entire family here.
Yeah. And that's the scariest part.
Cases.
Yeah, I think for most people, that's going to be the scariest part. It's not the jail. It's I'm betraying my family, right? I'm putting my family in jeopardy. And so I don't know how to give you the courage, but if you can muster it up in you, right, and get that courage to either speak to your family member or speak to a teacher or speak to a colleague, a friend, do it. Somebody that you feel safe confiding in, do that and just at least see where it goes from there.
All right, Dr. Jasmine Boone. Matilda, always good to see you.